never mind. Well, just with sketch and all, it got me thinking. I sometimes I don't understand the audience's preferences, and well, I kind of like her. Malay is actually pretty chill. Plus, last round she really stood up for me. His grin faded, eyes slowly dropping again. Well, it sounds like it kind of sucked for you there. At home. For you to turn around and protect them, even those who hurt you. That's not nothing. To repay you. Callie finally stopped in front of John, fingers slowly crawling over the lip of his cup. How about a deal? Cold bristled on the sidelines, head dropping as her teeth clenched. And Team John advances to the next round, Ponder clapped its hands. And the ladies mop the floor with our drunk duo, Ponder cackled, bringing out the same red button. Now we can at least put some of these guys out of their misery. Door Guy just slumped onto the floor, giggling softly before curling into a ball and snoring loudly right through the explosion. John wobbled, wincing as gore splattered the walls and smoke began to fill the space. He shakily reached out to drink the final cup before sinking to the floor as well. The room spun circles around him, barely registering that cold had rushed to his side, nor that Sarah conversed casually with Ponder, pointing to the bleachers before laughing. Ponder cackled as well, hopping onto Sarah's outstretched palm. They walked over to the remaining hostages. The world swirled into blurred smudges. John's eyes slowly opened to see a wall of piercing blue. His vision steadily swam into focus to see the wall flutter with gray. He pulled back with a start to see Cold flinch as well. Water. She quickly brushed hair out of her face, sitting upright and presenting a glass. Her eyes darted to the floor. She was watching you for hours, John's puppet whispered. Run, bro! Thank you. John was far too thirsty to refuse, eyes scanning the space around him as he grabbed the glass. He was in his bunk, steely structure indeed, looking as if built by a creature with no real idea of how people actually slept. Reflective fire blankets acted as sheets, prison room-like ventilation system constantly pumping a cold draft into the cell block. The only difference between the room and an isolation chamber was the open door. How long? John held his head, slowly bringing the drink to his lips. How long have I been out? Cold already drank from that, John's puppet warned midway through his drinking. Cold's eyes glimmered, face flushing bright red as John continued, too thirsty to care. She squirmed, giggling softly. Her fingers crept over the lip of the glass as John finished, slowly lowering it back into her lap. A few hours. Cold spoke softly. Ponder put off Endgame until tomorrow to give you guys a bit of time to recover. Good choice. John winced, rubbing his temples. Where are the others? Is Callie okay? Crunch. Cold winced, grip tightening on the glass so hard it splintered. Blood softly dripped onto her lap before she quickly clenched her hand, hiding it. I don't know, she replied in a whisper, eyes dully fixed ahead. Why does that matter? John scanned through his UI, seeing several missed messages from Sarah. Ponder and I were talking. The first read as John scrolled to the top. I've convinced him to put off Endgame until tomorrow. She was just pretty bad, John nervously responded to Cold. Door guy, too. I think that beer was higher proof than Ponder let on. So what did you talk about with her for so long? Cold spoke as if reading off a distant manuscript, eyes looking somewhere else. Why did you two leave the gym? I need to meet with you. Another message followed, preceded by several more of the same thing at hour intervals. Oh? John paused, shaking his head to Cold. I wanted to distract her long enough to... Why did you hug? The soft sound of clinking glass emanated from Cold's hand as she played with the shard, hot blood slowly filling up her clenched fist. Huh? What? John was stunned. You followed us. Why? Cold repeated, eyes finally snapping from the distant point to look to her hand. Did she make you? No. John shook his head, sitting further upright. I think it freaked her out, in fact. I don't know, I was grateful she admitted to something. I felt bad for her, I guess. I don't really know why. Pity? Cold replied numbly, slowly opening her hand to let the shard slide out. It landed back in the cup with a soft clink, blood beginning to slide down her palm into the glass. She guilted you. Cold nodded softly, dull eyes watching red blood fill up the container. I don't blame you. Thank you for being honest. Now, hold on a second. John's eyes watched the glass in horror, going to grab Cold's hands before she moved it away. That's not it at all. What are you doing? It's okay. Cold just nodded softly, squeezing her fist over the glass before holding it out to John. It's okay. I know. Drink. John's eyes widened, revulsion spreading across his face. What? He grabbed the glass only to get it away from Cold. Cold, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you okay? Do you know what she did, John? Cold's lids twitched, eyes finally sliding to meet his. Do you know what she'd do to you? She can't be trusted, John. Now hold the fuck on, John snapped, pulling the glass away as Cold tried to reach for it. Okay, one, that's real rich coming from you. I told you it didn't matter to me, but you told me yourself what you did. Yes, and I did it for you. Cold suddenly slashed forward, slamming her puppet against his. Metallic pincers stabbed its ears to the bed as her puppet's teeth snapped against its neck. I do everything for you. She crawled forward, snatching the glass away. And I will continue to do so. She does everything for herself. She is a murderer, John. I help people. They thank me afterwards, they always do. Do I need to help her, John? Alright, wait. John tensed, cringing back as his puppet gasped for air. Hold on, Cold, let's just talk about... No. Cold shook her head slowly, fingers stabbing into the glass to fish out the shard and throw it aside. Sticky blood trailed between her fingers. Cold, what do you want? John cried. Just tell me what you want. You know, she softly whispered, beginning to tilt the glass. You will understand. I will not lose you again. This is a really goddamn fast way to lose me! John tilted his head away in horror as the first drops of blood began to spill over the edge. Cold, for fuck's sake, stop! Whoa, fuck. I walk in on the weirdest shit. Sarah spoke from the doorway, arms crossed. Kinky. Cold tilted the glass back in horror, scrambling off John as her puppet spit his out. She hid the glass in embarrassment, looking away. She and John both breathed heavy, neither speaking for some time. Yes, I'll come back later. Sarah slowly turned. Jesus, put a sock on the damn door or something. Wait, no! John cried in panic. Don't go! That was nothing, not what it looked like. Not that I have any idea what that looked like. Just please stay. Kind offer, but not really my style. Sarah kept walking. To me, 3 is a crowd. You two have fun. No, no, no! John flailed off the bed, running after her. Hold up! Now alone in the room, Cold continued breathing heavy as if to calm her heart. Her fingers slowly circled the glass, eyes swiveling to the door. A tear softly rolled down her pale face, speckling her finger before dropping into the cup with a small splash. She quietly curled up on the bed. Sarah! John breathed heavy, finally catching up to her as she rounded a hallway. Jesus, you have to believe me, that wasn't... I know. Sarah turned around. She's got more than a few screws loose. Should have tipped me off when she pricked her finger by the sink before bringing you water. What a bizarre fetish. John paled, nausea flooding his face. I don't time things randomly. Sarah folded her arms. Had I come any sooner, she might have followed us. She still will, soon, I imagine. You're a hard man to get alone time with, John. Right. John swallowed several times, unable to calm his stomach. Why is that exactly? You, I mean. Why do you want to talk to me alone so bad? Because you're the only contestant I want to go swimming with, Sarah replied confidently, suddenly grabbing John's wrist and yanking him into another room. This place has a pool? John was dumbfounded, dark, lightless, Olympic-sized lane stretching out before them, as the door closed with a metallic rattle. Yes, and we are going swimming, Sarah nodded, walking toward the edge. Won't that be fun? Not really, John stared in confusion. What are you doing? Splash! Sarah elegantly dived in, fully clothed. John's jaw dropped, looking down to his puppet in confusion. Guess only crazy girls are into you. It shrugged. Tough luck. We are waterproof, you know. Though my ears still hurt. John put up a finger as Sarah resurfaced, brushing hair out of her eyes and motioning him in. Is the water... It's not heated and cold as hell, Sarah nodded. What are you waiting for? A bathing suit, maybe? John looked behind him. Or a reason why any of this is happening? Get in the damn pool. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Stop blabbering. Got it. John nervously stepped forward. Can I at least take off my shoe? No. Sarah treaded water. You always this slow? Gah. John nervously put the tip of his shoe into the water. Why am I such a pushover? Next time, I'm just gonna say no. Snap. Sarah's hand gripped around his heel, yanking him in with a massive splash. Fuckity, fuck, that is cold. John spit out water after resurfacing. Jesus Christ, Sarah, this is... Keep your puppet below water. Sarah whispered hastily, dropping any previous act. And keep your voice low. I don't want to go swimming with you, you fucking moron. This is the only way we can talk at the moment until I figure out how to better encrypt messages. The puppets are always listening. John stared. I know you are you because I watched you enter the game, Sarah whispered, looking carefully around her. But the other contestants, I'm not so sure about. What are you saying? John shook his head. Someone isn't who they say they are? Exactly, Sarah nodded. Someone intentionally gave misinformation on what they are and where they're from. Maybe more than one, but it's possible we've already voted or supposedly killed them off. John tried to wrap his head around this. Why would anyone lie? I don't know for sure. Sarah lowered her voice even further. I only know the system was tripped for flagged information. It doesn't tell me what or how much was entered incorrectly. Bring up your puppet now casually as we swim to the other end. We were talking about the final beer pong match. Wait! John hissed before switching his tone as Sarah's puppet broke the surface. Wait, that was scary. Of course, Sarah nodded, flawlessly breaststroking faster than John could keep up. Well, to be honest, I've played a bit before. Plus, John struggled to sloppily struggle through the water after her. You and Cold have immunity now, so that's cool. I win. Sarah slapped the end of the pool, spinning around and grinning as her shirt billowed around her, soaked jeans weighing her down. Knew you would. John coughed up water, finally reaching her and keeping his puppet underwater as she did the same. That was the worst ad-libbing I've ever heard. Sarah rolled her eyes. You're lucky it doesn't suspect us yet. Okay, so wait. John's eyes narrowed. I may not be good at ad-libbing. Or swimming, Sarah nodded. Or swimming, John sighed. But I sure as hell can read between the lines. What system flagged the misinformation? How did you have access to it in the first place? You've been weirdly chummy with Ponder lately. The PuppetGAME server alerted me. Sarah nodded, softly wringing water from her hair before her icy blue eyes narrowed. There's no sense in lying to you. She nodded softly, the water rippling silently as thunder rumbled somewhere distant. I created PuppetGAME, John. I designed Ponder. Welcome to Endgame! Ponder cackled, relishing in the lights as the remaining 6 contestants stood in a nervous line. Sarah stood closest to Ponder, nodding carefully. John's mind ran 100 miles an hour, teeth clenched as he tried to work through last night. The Ponder hive mind is a program, a computer system, but it's also biological. Sarah's words echoed in his head. The code secretes a biological discharge known as catch on any motherboard running the program. How? What? John remembered firing back. That doesn't make any sense. Computers discharging biological material? How? Because the program wasn't designed by a computer. Not initially. Sarah spoke, eyes darkening. Your friend Callie is controlled by a parasitic entity known as a left-hand parasite. Even with her godlike powers of matter manipulation, however, she's still bound by the laws of physics. She cannot create nor destroy matter. This is how we understand the entire universe to work across any dimension. Ponder slowly turned to the camera, rubbing its paws together. Hope you all gained some sort of audience favor this week. It smiled, talking directly to the lens. Because you're about to have a real shit time if you didn't. Cold and Sarah have won immunity for this round, so let's start with you, door guy. Want to give the audience a reason to keep you around? It wasn't always like that, Sarah's words echoed. Callie's species, I mean. At my work, there was a specimen discovered subject 748, a being that called herself Mari, claimed to be God. She was like Callie in many ways, but different in the most important aspect. Rather than a parasitic organism inhabiting a human corpse, she had constructed a body on her own from scratch. Something that resembled a human being but wasn't. Not in the ways that mattered. Oh god, Dorgai still clutched at his head. I guess keep me around because I think this hangover is going to last a world record length. Don't you guys want to see it conclude? I do. Please, dear God, make it end. Oh, also I kicked John in the stomach, which was pretty funny. Removing a limb from Mari only meant it would grow back near instantaneously. Sarah's words had begun to rush as she glanced to a clock over the pool. John, the point is, we initially thought Mari was creating matter from nothing, skin cells and life itself. But that wasn't it at all. God wasn't creating matter, she was stealing it from other dimensions, transporting it between alternate timelines. Splice fissures. John remembered feeling his blood run cold. You're describing a splice fissure. On a molecular scale, yes. Sarah nodded. But unlike matter creation, it was consistent with physical science, with the laws we knew to be true. And anything we can study, anything found in reality, anything we can mathematically understand, can be replicated with code, John. Ponder AI was created as a computer simulation to hypothesize that type of matter transport. The clock had struck 12, Sarah hastily moving back to the edge of the pool. Listen, John, she had warned. The simulation didn't simulate anything. It achieved it. That's when we first noticed the discharge. The catch built up to dangerous levels on the system before we shut it down, forming a consciousness on its own. It's physical code, John, a shapeshifter capable of multiplying infinitely in the real world as well as infecting the virtual world. All it needs to do so is to destroy other dimensions, assume their matter. It took the form of the first thing it saw, something we use to make children's subjects at the lab feel more comfortable talking to us. A rabbit hand puppet. Good, sure. Ponder nodded at the podium, grinning widely. And next, how about you, Callie? Anything to say? But it can theoretically take any form. Sarah had hissed, getting out of the pool but leaving her puppet in the water. When I stepped on Malaya's leg, the puppet she was controlling, it was just metal. That was a real puppet, a machine being fed Ponder's consciousness from a server somewhere. During Endgame, I'm going to accidentally hurt the main Ponder puppet as well, the one that usually runs the show. If it doesn't bleed, John, that means the real Ponder, the original, is either one of our puppets or one of us. Based on this game's rules and regulations, Callie stood stoically. You can vote me off this week. My reasoning against this will likely not change any intentions you already have in your head. Vote according to what you believe is best. Bold move! Ponder nodded approvingly. Next! John snapped back to the present, shaking his head. I made more shots than Dorgai. My boy! Dorgai called across the room. Dumb. Ponder frowned. Does everyone, like each other in this game? Where's the drama in that? This is bad writing. Whatever. Last but not least. I thought I would have done a lot worse. Malaya spoke carefully, back to her normal hologram form. So, I'm improving, I think. Please don't kill me. Alright then, Ponder swooned. If that's it, then I'll see you all next time. Go to PuppetGAME.LiamVickers.com to vote for this week's loser. I'll kill him and blow the shit out of their dimension next week, so choose wisely. He played an applause track, waving excitedly to the cameras before the lights went dead. large screen behind it flickering out. "Good show, everyone," Ponder giggled, glancing to Sarah as she extended her palm out. "Next week's challenge is going to be super awesome, so get prepared for that." He hopped onto Sarah's palm before she accidentally moved her hand. The puppet flailed as it tumbled to the floor. Sarah scrambled, apologizing before inadvertently catching one of Ponder's legs beneath her foot. Metal littered the floor.